Hey everyone, this is me, the Undead Viking, and this is a card from Medakor Revolution, a game I'm going to talk to you about right now. Medakor Revolution is a battling card game that has a really, really unique component to it. Now, lots of these battling card games that I play, you get a little like player mat, or you get a little character, a card, or what have you. And this, and to be honest, I mean, this game does have character cards or whatever. And then you resolve combat by, like different things, parts of like a deck building situation, or maybe some dice or whatever. But for this game, what you're going to be using to resolve combats is this. Now, some of you are saying, is that a pog? No, it's not a pog. It's actually this cool little coin that has all of these spinning parts in it. So it has one center ring like so, and it has a secondary ring like so, then it has the outside ring. And what you'll be doing is you'll be putting this on a table, and after you do the attack, you'll spin the whole thing like so. And my hand isn't a really good thing as far as it is. And then depending upon which sides of the coin, like with the three different parts, are face up, you're going to figure out exactly what your attack is going to do. Not only is it going to determine the different damage you're going to do, but it's also going to tell you what different powers maybe you've unlocked and are using, depending upon the guardian that is involved in that attack. Now, along the way, besides using these coins, you're going to have a deck that's going to be filled with all kinds of different abilities that are going to kind of break the rules as you play the game, and that adds a lot of depth to the game, something that I really, really enjoyed. So let me show you how the game is played and kind of show you some of these little coins in action, and then we'll come back here and I'll give you my final thoughts. Alright, so here we have Medakor, and I have set up a 3-character versus 3-character battle. Now, I did get lots of other guardians that I could possibly use. Like as you see, I got these extra ones here. For table space, I just set up these little 3-person or 3-character versus 3-character battle. Now, the cool thing about this game is it is pretty modular. You can do a lot of different things as far as like how you want to play the game. You can have teams. You can have a big giant like if you have more than 2 players, you could have 4 players and like have a big free for all, and you use the extra cards and what have you. But for just showing you how this game works, I just set up a classic 2-player competition. Alright, so each player will choose their team. You can draft that. You can draw randomly. There are certain, guardians that have synergy with each other, and you should probably, and the game will come with like starting decks that will say, okay, these guardians work really well together. But you don't have to do that. You definitely could experiment and do whatever you like. You'll also get a 30-card deck of power cards. Power cards have on them buffs, spells, and curses, and I will talk about these here in just a little bit and show you some of them in action when I show you how the game is played. Alright, so the biggest thing about the game, obviously, is that you're going to be using your different guardians to fight your opponent's guardians. The way you win the game is by knocking out the other person's guardians. So, here we have this guy. His name is Claus. Over here, you can see he's got 10 health points. Obviously, if you run out of health points, you're going to be out. Over here, he shows that he is a brawler, and you can see his little symbol for being a brawler. And then down here, there's 9 points. So he costs 9 points to draft into your team. So if he has, like, oh, we're going to play teams of up to 30 or whatever. So he would cost 9 of those 30 points. In comparison, you can see that Flint here costs 7 points down there. Okay, so each one of these characters, or guardians, will have a trait. So he gets +1 defense against all boosted attacks. Spells from your deck here will boost and buff up attacks, and if you do that against Claus, he's like a hardy. He can fight really well, and he's got a lot of defense, so he would be able to, take less damage from those boosts. He has a special ability, and I'll talk about how that gets enacted, but it says like +1 damage or +1 attack, may divide battle attack to up to 3 frontline guardians. Now that's I want to talk about the frontline guardians. So you may have noticed that there are, some of these tokens that are up here like so, and there's some of these tokens that are behind, if you will. So you'll notice on Flint, you might have noticed that there's a symbol right here. That means that Flint is a ranged attack guardian. And these two over here, the Water Nymph and Bastet, both have that symbol as well, and that's why they are back there. Now, if you can probably have figured out, a ranged guardian can attack anyone they want. When you do your attacks, you get to pick your target, and then spin your coin. The other person spins their coin. I'll show you that in just a second and how you resolve that. But brawlers or the frontline people can only attack other frontline guardians. Now, after you get done doing an attack, what will happen is that you will, after you activate your guardians, what will happen is that you will place them back onto their cards. Then, when they're on their cards and they haven't been activated yet, and when your turn starts, then they are free to be attacked by anyone. So normally, Frostbite here, the shark guy, he's a frontline attacker. He normally wouldn't be able to attack Flint, but once Flint is back on the card, then he's within range. So just, one of those things that's important to keep in mind as you're doing this. Now, each one of these guardians has one of these coins. And if you ever played with one of those old gyroscopes, it's kind of like that. Each part kind of spins, right? So you can see that. And there's one side, here I'll actually spin that back so they're all the same. There's one side that's colored and one side that isn't. Now, when you spin this, you'll spin it just like you normally would spin a coin, like when you've probably done that a few times. You'll look, and whatever the center is, so if Flint's center is colored, and this is for all of them, and like and not black and white, you will get to total up the attack value of everything that matches the colored side. So and this is kind of tough to do here, so let's say it showed up like this. So his attack value would be 2 plus 1, but he wouldn't get the outer ring. It would be worth a 3 attack. If it was like this, you would get also the same result of 1 plus 2 for 3 attack. If you had all of them the same, once again, like so, you can see 2, 1, 2, he'd have a 5 attack. On this side, it would be 2, 1, 1. For 4 attack. But so you just always go by what's in the center, and whatever else matches up, you add that together. Now, some of these cards, you will see, actually all of the cards, have these special abilities, like Flint can regenerate health, but only if after you spin his coin, if it looks like this. Everything is, the red color or the middle is red, but the 2 outer rings are dark. So, if you had a situation where, maybe Flint didn't do really well, as far as, like, you spun this, and he's only getting an attack of 2 because it doesn't match anything else, but because of the fact that matches up with, the coding that you need, he'd still be able to use his special ability. Alright, pretty simple, right? Alright, cool. So, the way the game works is each person will draw 5 cards that they put in their hand, and then one person goes first, and you're going to look at your cards. And the thing about your cards is that you can spend as many of them as you want. The only trick is that you aren't going to get to draw back up to your full complement of cards until it is your next turn. So basically, you have these cards in your hand that you can use now, and then you can use them when you're doing your attacks. And some of them you can only use when you're doing your attacks, but obviously some of them will be reactionary. And then when the other person goes, if you've used up like all of your good cards, you won't have anything to use when that happens. So if you look at the cards, you can kind of see what you have. And so, here we have some different curses that you can do. And then like the spell Greed, play at any time, draw an additional card. So if it was my turn, maybe I just play that immediately because I want to just draw additional cards. So I play that, I get to draw another card. So now I have a curse of a Mystic Hourglass, cause your character or your opponent's character to respin 1. So that's a good ability to have. Cursed Yosaurian, play during a battle. Choose any character engaged in battle. Flip over their core ring. So you can mess with them that way. Healing Potion, play during a character's activation to remove 1 damage from that character. Or, Curse, Stomachache. Play when an opponent attempts to heal one of their characters, discard that healing potion without resolving it. So that's kind of a reaction thing. And here's one spell: Ground and Pound. Play during a brawler activation. Before choosing a target for battle, bring one range character into the front row this turn. So, that's what's kind of cool with that. Normally, let's say, and when you activate this, you keep your activation secret, but so you'd activate, let's say we're activating Claws, and my opponent would probably be thinking, oh, well, you're going to face Frostbite, right? Well, I could play that card for Ground and Pound, and I could say, no, actually, I think, and I'm going to look at these, so like here we'll look at Bastet, has 7 health, trait, maybe summoned after defeat with, maybe resummoned after defeat with 3 health once per game. That's pretty good ability. Oh, and I should mention that this little symbol there, that means that you can activate them with another character to kind of join into the fight. Something that is very powerful that these characters have. Notice that none of these have that ability. And so here we have Water Nymph, your trait, +1 defense for up to 3 Water Guardians. But, so like, obviously you can provide extra defense. Well, I want to say I wanted to just beat up Bastet quickly so, we can knock it down, and then maybe, they might resummon it, but, get through it the one time. So we're going to pull them up into the front because with that special ability. So now what will happen is we'll go ahead and spin. So the way this works is each person will, and they can adjust their thing to however they want. They'll just take, and you can let it stop. You can stop it with your hand like so, or you can let it just end where it ends. And so here, that's not good because of the fact that I've got the middle is the colored version, but the other outside isn't. So right now, it's only an attack of 2, and so we can go ahead and spin this one and see what we get. And so Bastet is going to get, here we go, I can show you that a little closer. So here you can see that it is the grayed out version, and the middle is grayed out as well, and it's kind of tough to tell because it's white on, but it is a 1, you can kind of see it. I apologize for light. So that would be a total of 3. So a 2 to 3, what that is that, obviously you're going to deduct this from the other one, whatever is less, and for that matter, we're going to take like 1 point of damage. So then what we're going to do is we're going to take a die, and because he has a health of 10, we're going to go ahead and reduce that to 9. Now, however, because of the fact that I have these other abilities, I could do something like this. I could choose any character engaged in battle, flip over their core ring. So what I could do in this case is I could flip over my core ring on my own after using that ability, and you see then, and once again it's a little tough to see, but there's a 1, 2, 2, so we'd have a 5 total, and we could go ahead and do the 5 a 5 total to their 3, and we could do 2 damage to Bastet. Now I didn't even look and see what 5 cards I drew for them. So there's also some other, let's see, so dodge. Play after successful battle against one of your characters. Reduce the damage to 1 for this battle. We got a healing potion there. Play damage is reduced by 2 for this battle. So we can reduce the damage of the person. Little water shield to give yourself, and it attaches to any water character. And when you do that, and this one worked for Bastet, but then those actually stay, for good. Unless you get a spell that can destroy that. Or, spell flee. Play when any character is being attacked. The attacking character must choose a different target. So we could have even done that from the get-go. If we didn't want Bastet to get attacked, we could have played that and they would have had to attack Frostbite. But the cool thing about this game, obviously, is the spinning of the coins. It is like a random... Yes, it is a random thing. It's kind of like rolling dice, but it isn't really rolling dice. And the cool thing about having... the spinning coins is that you have those different special abilities and everything that can happen because of the way that the coins show up. So I mean, like if we had let's see here, like a full attack by Claws, and so we would have done a total of 3, 2, 2, really good. We would have done 7 damage, and we could have enacted like +1 for that +1 damage, and then we could divide the battle for up to 3 frontline combatants. So I could have done, I mean, I probably would do like all the damage to the Bastet, try to take it out. But if I had a situation where Frostbite had some damage, Bastet had some damage, I could divvy that up and I could start messing with taking out the other players a lot quicker. And like, so let's say maybe Frostbite only had 2 health left. I did 7 damage to and then the defense over here was worth 2, so 5 total. Do 2 to Frostbite, take him out, do the remaining 3 to Bastet, and be that much closer to victory. It's stuff like that that makes the game fun. It's fun to spin the coins and watch how they end up, and it's just, it's almost one of those, like, we almost, like, sometimes when we would spin them, we would try to have the coins hit, right? So, at least that's when my daughter and I played. And that actually added a lot more fun to it, too, because they kind of collide, and they'd slip over, and they'd slide down. And that was kind of a nice little added aspect as well. But it is one of those cool reveal moments. You don't know what's going to happen, and the drama of it is so much better than just rolling a simple die. But it is it is a very action-oriented game, but the fact that you have these little power cards kind of does remove a lot of the randomness of it. As far as if it was just spinning these coins, I think the game would get a little old. But the fact of the matter is that you do have some hand management, you do have some special powers and abilities that you can use to reduce the chaos of that a little bit, and add a lot of much needed strategy to the game. But regardless, let me talk about all of that and more in my final thoughts. Alright, that is Medakor. Medakor, obviously, is going to stand out. I played this at my local game store a few times with my daughter, and it definitely drew a crowd whenever we played. And I like that about it. I mean, not so much for, like, for attention or whatever, but I think that there are lots of times when I will walk through, like, my local game store, I'll be at a convention, and I'll just see, like, table after table of, like, good games, but kind of boring, drab, cube-pushing games. And then there are some games that I'll walk by and I'll see large groups of people cheering and yelling and high-fiving and cursing little spinning coins or whatever, and I'll say, wow, those people are having an absolute blast. What is going on over there? That looks really awesome. And it's and this is one of those games, right? There is just the right amount of chaos and randomness, and combined with just the right amount of strategy and tactics. And I'll be honest, I mean, I do think that with the unique, like, it wouldn't be as fun. It wouldn't be as much fun if I was just rolling a die. And, like, because obviously there's a percentage chance for each different possibility of each side showing up. And I'm sure you could figure out a way to make it happen, with, like, okay, take a 6-sided, a 4-sided, and an 8-sided and roll the dice and compare it to this chart or something like that. But where's the fun in that? I mean, the game is just cool because of the fact that this thing spins, and like I said, like that. And everybody's watching, and I think, yes, you can slam your hand down and stop it, and there's something cool about that too, where you're like, and then, like, you slowly reveal it, like so. There's something cool about that, but there is something also really, really cool about watching it slowly, all the different parts, spinning on their own, and watching the thing, slowly down, and then come to a rest, and then you see what it is as well. Either way, it is that anticipation moment, that reveal moment that I really, really like in games. And, so that's really cool, obviously. But, like I said, that by itself would grow stale after a few plays. But the fact that there is the added strategy of being able to create a deck of different cards that is going to be able to play to your Guardian's strengths and weaknesses. And also there is a little bit of, like, because you activate the Guardians in your own, chain that you wish, and the other players doesn't know exactly what your plan is as far as they're concerned. So I mean, there is some tactics there is some strategy, there's enough meat on the requisite strategy bone that you aren't just going to feel like you are just at the whim of the god of random luck. You're going to feel like you actually have some power over what is going on with your Guardians, and keeping them alive and keeping them in the battle as long as possible so you can come out the winner. But ultimately, yes, it is a fun game to play. It is full of, like, high-fiving moments, especially if you're playing like a 4-player game and like you have, you know, 2 teams, like, you know, and so like you and a buddy control 3 each, and your opponents have 3 each, and so you can kind of ping pong against each other, that sort of thing. And, you know, so it's unlike anything I've ever played, you know, because of this mechanism, and it's definitely one of the more fun battle card games I've played in a long, long time. So there you go. I'd invite you to go ahead and check this out. You can probably check out like a lot of the other different like Guardians. Like, I only had the 6 to play with, or I mean, you know, so I mean, go ahead and check out more and more of the different Guardians. And the thing is that I really, you know, this is just like the starter, you know, set that I was given to play around with. I really want to know, like, what other different types, what other different powers, what other different cards are going to be in the game once it finally gets released, and like more and more is added to it. And I really think the sky's the limit with this one. So there you go. If you have any questions about Medakor, please ask Will. I'll be happy to answer those as best as I can. As always, thank you very much for taking the time to watch this video, and until next time, I am the Undead Viking, and I'm telling you to have yourself one heck of an awesome day. All right, bye-bye.